So this video is going to quickly review exponent rules, and then we're going to take a look at some more complicated examples. So first, a review. When we're multiplying powers, the rule is to add the exponents. So x cubed times x squared is x to the power of 5. So 3 plus 2 is 5. When we're dividing powers, the rule is to subtract the exponents. So in this case, you take 3 and you subtract 2. That gets you x to the power of 1. Now, if you're dividing and you end up with a negative exponent, so for instance, here we have x to the power of 2 minus 3, which gives us x to the power of negative 1. So now we have a negative exponent. Well, we can deal with that, and the way to deal with it is to put it in the denominator. So it's called taking the reciprocal. So this becomes 1 over x. If this was x to the power of negative 2, we would have had 1 over x squared. So you can see what you're doing here is you're taking the variable, putting it in the denominator, and changing the sign from negative to positive. All right, now going back to our rules, when we have a power raised to an exponent, so x cubed squared, the rule here is to multiply. So we get x to the power of 6, because 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, so those are the basic rules. So when you multiply, you add the exponents. When you divide, you subtract the exponents. And when you raise a power to an exponent, you multiply the exponents. Now we're going to look at two other cases. So one is when we have an expression all raised to an exponent. What this means is it means to take every coefficient and every variable and raise it to that exponent. So that means take 8, raise it to the power of 3, take x, raise that to the power of 3, take y squared, and raise that to the power of 3. Now 8 to the power of 3 is 8 times 8 times 8, so you plug that into a calculator, you get 512. X to the power of 3, we can just leave that as x cubed. Y squared to the power of 3, well, this one is the rule where you multiply exponents. So you do 2 times 3 and you get y to the power of 6. So that's our simplified expression. All right, and then the last thing we want to cover before we move on is what happens when the exponent is a fraction. So for instance, what if we have 64 to the 1 over 2? Well, this just means the square root of 64. And the square root of 64 is just 8. Now, what if the fraction was a bit more complicated, like 27 to the power of 1/3? So the rule is you're going to take the nth root where n is the denominator. So here we're taking the third root because we have a 3 in the denominator. So we're going to take the third root of 27. The answer to that is 3. So 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 again would give you 27. Okay? Now, what if there's a number in the numerator and denominator? So let's take that same example, but let's say it was 2 to the raised to the power of 2 over 3. Well, that would mean you take the cube root, so you can take the cube root of 27, and then square at the end. So the cube root of 27, we just saw that that was 3. And then we square it at the end, so that gives us 9. So what you do here in general is for the denominator, you put that as the root that you're taking, and then the numerator, that's going to be the exponent. Now, it doesn't matter what order you do this in, so I would advise just do it in the order that gets you nice numbers so you don't have to use your calculator as much.